right.
I'm trying to like listen to see if I have any words, but
Okay, we're going to talk about those three buttons on the bottom. Because one. There you go.
Hey.
What's that? Not yet. Until we separate, you'll see how this works. So who the heck were Eliza and Charles Pinckney? They had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's three different Chucks, in case you weren't paying attention. That's why we look for secondary clues. I need to know which Charles you guys are getting, so that way I know how to address them. Getting my point? Now, the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. That's a big deal for us, but I hate politics more than anybody here, so we're going to move on. If I don't give them that recognition, they'll do it for me nastily through a spirit box. So I make sure I give it to them every single night, and we move on to Eliza Pinckney. That's where our story begins. Eliza has a much better story anyway. Eliza marries Charles at a young age according to today's standards. If you're going to ask her how old she was, do not expect numbers from the colonial times that she came from, like 12 and 14, when young ladies got married. Think of today's standards, because the husband was over double her age when they married. Creepy then, creepy now. Yes, I seen that look on your face. So, I'll tell you a funny story about that, because I actually had somebody with the exact same age gap on my tour one night, and they were like, "Nick, put your foot in your mouth." I'm like, "Nope, not gonna do it." Funnier part of that story is I actually had our newspaper team following me around, doing me a front page cover story on what I do out here. And I was like, "All right, you guys need to stop recording." You guys get the point. It was fun. Anyway, back to Eliza. So she marries Charles because her father's over in England. He thinks he's dying. He's trying to bring all of his kids home one last time so he can see them. Eliza doesn't believe he's dying. Instead, she stays put, gets married. It's 1744. You don't get married in that year to get a green card because we are not a country yet. So this was a true love story. This place actually, we need to show respect while we're here. It's not always going to be a horrific thing you find on TV. And she was correct. Dad did not die right away. Instead, he starts sending her gifts from England to where you're standing. One of those gifts happens to be the plant seeds of indigo. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes your blue jeans blue. Some of you guys are wearing this tonight. So, because that's how we use it. When she got her seeds, she didn't know what to do with them. She had to learn from the servants and slaves how to keep it cultivated. We're all bundled up. It doesn't stay hot here, guys, I promise you. So when she learned how to keep it going, she learned how to make the dye, moved it to a cash crop plantation down by the Stono River, got a hold of Dad and told him, rice plantation prices are going downhill. We're going to make a killing with the indigo. And we now have an international businesswoman during colonial times. Something absolutely unheard of. So, that's the boring business shit of Eliza. Let's get into the weird stuff, because that's why you guys are here. Yeah.
I got weird stuff over here.
What do you got going on?
I got a little guy dancing over by that sign.
what?
Is it the sign?
No, well, I don't know. It's like below it.
Okay.
Guy dancing.
And that's normally what it'll look like, is somebody wiggling around. So, he's got it recording, so I'll definitely make note to take a look at it.
Yeah, boss.
There's one.
Pretty little speech there.
There he is.
About 3.3, but it never held.
It's not supposed to hold. That's how you know it's not anything man-made.
Yeah.
So,
We
I'll
got
take
to
down a
3.3.
3.3.
Yeah.
Perfect. Keep escalating those numbers, so don't give me anything below that 3.3 at this point.
Yeah, 7.1.
7.1?
Okay, right when you were talking.
There he is.
It'll go much higher than that. I almost guarantee it in this location.
Let's go quick.
So with this spot, I like to kind of keep it controlled. So I'm going to go around with all of the people with communication devices and give you a set of questions to focus on. You can say them out loud or just focus on them, however you want to do it. No right or wrong way to do this. Eliza already knows that we're here, obviously. I'll give you more about that later on. So we're going to start with Grace. So Grace and Patty, you guys are going to have the same set of questions because you're using the same type of spirit box. So, and keep in mind, we do have two cameras running, my voice recorder, plus all the other communication devices. If, let's say, Kara's asking a question, one of you could get the answer. It can go anywhere. That's the beauty of why we do this. That's why you're going to tell me all the silly things. You guys are going to focus on Eliza's death. She's pretty open about talking about it. How old she was, what she died from, where she's buried, which president was a pallbearer at her funeral. Those are the four major questions that we commonly get answers to. If you ask anything else on your own, just make sure that A, it's respectful, and 2, it's not a yes-no question. So that way we can actually verify the answer. So, who's next on my list? So, Kara, I think you're the only other one with a communication device. So we'll talk about yours here in just a second, but the mansion's not here anymore. Ask what happened to it. Obviously, it's a tragedy. Secondly, if you get the what, which could come up anywhere, we often will get 2 or 3 numbers of the date to kind of verify that tragedy. So it's a very big deal. And I'm giving you that very simplistic set of questions is because your device only gives us 1 to 2 syllables at a time. So they may hear full phrases, you may get 1 to 2 syllables at a time. So with Steven's device and Ant's device, you guys are going to be getting the same set as well, just because they kind of show up the same way. So you're going to be looking for Eliza's initials, ELP, simply because Eliza, we're looking to figure out which
check this out.
It's picking up the gaps in the windows.
Ha!
Window
Cool.
sills. Yep. Windows will do that every single time.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't look like much of a... Kind of get into why we're here. So this particular location is kind of a staple for every ghost tour in Charleston. This is actually the space I'm looking to take out after today, if I can do it based on what we're going to be doing with our new location that we're going to be experimenting with later. Every year I take out one space and add a new one. Last year I was looking to take out the Pinckney Mansion site because I was getting like disrespectful ghost hunters on your end. Like, come on Eliza, give me some answers, and then they go take a leak in the corner. And I was getting very nasty messages through Spirit Box. So I decided to give it a few weeks break. And every night before I meet with you guys on the corner by Big John's, I go through that lot and tell Eliza how many people I have in all of your names. Just as a respect factor, it's kind of a little pact that I made with her a few months back. So I do that literally every night, but that is one of the most active spaces. I have a hard time taking that on my route. This space, I'm having a hard time with it as well because we still get a lot out of it. I wanted to take it out because every ghost tour comes down here, and if you've been on a ghost tour in Charleston, you've been here. So we're still going to talk about it in a little bit different manner because you're ghost hunting, not on a cheesy campfire marshmallow ghost tour. So let's get into it. This is Philadelphia Alley now, but it used to be called Dueler's Alley. This is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. So I say some of them because dueling was illegal in the 1700s and you had to find a hiding spot to go do it. This happened to be one of those spots. We all talk about the same duel because we can actually prove that it happened. So let's kind of get into it. The Ouija board device is important here. You're going to be looking for the letters R-I in that order, not reversed. Just kind of keep that in mind.
I'm not sure if it just said 2 people in here. Not sure though. Not sure.
Imagine that. We're talking about duels and there's 2
Not
people
sure.
in here.
Not sure. I think.
But again, it's always about your first instinct. If that's what you think you heard, that's what I'm going to write down. So here's how this goes. A doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. There's your first R.I., Stephen, just so you have that idea. So he moves down here. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. If Spirit Box people that you're listening to your Spirit Boxes, and you hear the song Brown Eyed Girl while we're here, it's not coincidence. It's part of his name. We get it all the time. We had it just a few nights ago. Anyway, Dr. Ladd moves here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She is an attorney, helping her out with all of this cash flow that she just got. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money, so he tells Amanda to get rid of the doctor. Dr. Ladd comes here to Charleston to prove that he's not. So on his way into town, the coachman that brought him in set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a good start. It's like having a bad Uber driver. He drops you off and he's got a gunman at the door trying to kill you. So somebody was walking by and seeing what was about to happen. His name, Ralph Isaacs. Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from. I was getting the letters R.I. on the devices that Grace and Patty are using, so I bought the Ouija board device to get the verification. So we have gotten it in the past, 7-8 months that I've had it, whenever I bring up Ralph's name. Anyway, back to Ralph. He tells the doctor, dude, I know this guy. He's going to try to kill you. Come with me. We're going to go to 59 Church Street. I got friends there. You can rent a room. You'll be safe. Doc took him up on the offer. The 2 gentlemen became friends. The longer the doctor stays here, the more money he's making. He's proving his point. He's not after Amanda's money. She gets wind of this and she's coming down so they can be married. Dr. Ladd then became known as the Whistling Doctor because he whistled all the time. Every tour that comes down here tells you to listen for the whistles. We're going to talk about those whistles in just a minute. I will tell you that every haunted city you're ever going to visit is going to have a haunted whistling ghost. So that's part of the reason why I wanted to take this out, but it is a legitimate thing. I'm going to get to it. Dr. Ladd and Ralph, they go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's the hierarchy of Charleston. He gets better seats. So they talk about this actress that they saw from Richard III play, and they're walking home. They're arguing over this actress because Dr. Ladd thought she was great. Ralph didn't. It turns into an argument, and Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. It got really ugly. They go their separate ways. Ralph has friends at the newspaper, though. He goes to put an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a, you're a disgrace to society kind of mentality. Doc saw the ad, but rebutted with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. Somebody's going to die. Keep in mind, this argument started over an actress. Kind of stupid and silly once you really start thinking about it. But anyway, they came down, they took her 10 paces away from each other, they turned, the doctor points his gun in the air, and he shoots his 1 shot. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight. Ralph has his 1 bullet. He puts it in the kneecap on the doc. The doctor doesn't die. He fell to the ground. His friends picked him up, took him home to 59 Church Street, where he died 10 days later on November 2nd of 1786. He also refused medical treatment. Let me point out 2 things. It's 1786. Gunshot wounds are a lot different back then than they are now. He's also a doctor. Probably just thought he had lead poisoning and tried to bleed it out himself, but he obviously didn't because he died. Every ghost tour, like I said, tells you to listen for the whistles. We have 2 cameras running plus my voice recorder. If we're going to capture a whistle, more than likely it's going to be on one of those 3 devices. However, our spirit boxes, the ones that are recording, can't tell you how many times we've had the whistling part of a song and then the word doctor from a commercial come up immediately after. Doctor, get it all the time. I can't tell you how many times that has actually come up in the 4 years I've been coming here. So, we also got other things like Amanda, 59, so forth and so on. What was exciting last night was the Ouija board device actually spelled out something the minute we came in that was relevant that I don't always talk about. But let me point out a few things. And I just wanted to remind myself, like, it was really cool last night. If you're going to try this on your own and walk all the way through the alley with the voice recorders from your phone trying to capture whistles, just keep in mind that every local knows the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen throws a whistle down the alley. I used to do it every single morning when I was done with your data. First one to do it. My office is up here. My old garage is down here. I used to throw a whistle at like 4 in the morning every single day. So I actually been thrown out of here. So that's part of the reason why I always throw the whistle. Let's talk about that. It's because you got to look on your fuzz stick. Who the hell did we sign up with? Who's this criminal? So this alley didn't go all the way through this way. There was a wall up there. The reason why is because this is where they kept the livestock for the city of Charleston. This used to be called Cow Alley. When we walked in here last night, the word cow was spelled out for us on the Ouija board the minute we entered. So I was like, that was my super excitement piece of the night because that thing has never spelled out the word cow before. We got a tour coming through here, so Brent, you might want to lower your camera. There you go.
I have bacon.
You have bacon? Bacon. Cows, chickens, and pigs. We're down here.
Yeah, you got breakfast.
We got a whole breakfast.
Oh my gosh.
You're getting it all. Anyway, so back to the point of how I got thrown out of here. It wasn't about cows and chickens and bacon, apparently. But anyway, so that means that the bricks down there on that end are older than the ones we're standing on. Those are sun-dried bricks from slave children. Full handprint from the slave child down there with fingerprint swipes and others. I used to take my groups all the way through here to show them that piece of history. Nothing paranormal about it. I treat that brick the same way I do a grave. That kid's not there. That's the last place you're going to find him. However, November 26th of 2020, my entire group of 10, same size as you guys, mine plus 1, was huddled around that brick waiting for something to happen. I'm trying to shoo them along because I know nothing's going to happen, and I'm trying to be respectful to the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. I didn't realize I was out of bounds. The new owner of that mansion came out screaming because we're standing outside his dining room window with a bunch of blinky light devices, and he didn't really care for that. He came out, my daughter thought it was great, by the way, because she was on the tour that night and her dad was getting yelled at. She thought it was hysterical. So we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I don't work on Thanksgiving simply because I worked in upper retail management for Walmart for over 10 years, and you guys like to fight over chows on Thanksgiving, scarring me for life. So I don't do Thanksgiving anymore. I own my own company now. So the next day I called my partner, I told him what happened. He giggled at me just the way my daughter did and said, dude, you're not allowed to go down that far. It's residential. You have to go down halfway or reroute your group. I was like, well, damn it. I had to reroute my group because I'm sold out again for Black Friday. Told my group I don't believe in the next story where I have to take you because we have to go that way because I'm a vampire guy, not a pirate person. We're talking about pirates next in case nobody picked up on that. Somebody heard the name Anne on a spirit box before we left. I didn't tell them which pirate we were going to be investigating. The famous female pirate, Anne Bonny. So I went, well, damn it. Maybe we are going to get something. Go up and around the corner. I told them what I did know about piracy in Charleston. Not much, by the way. Less than a day to research. Somebody else heard the number 300 coming out of theirs. I don't know what that one means. I write it down. I do the research. We were there November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. The exact 300th anniversary of her pirate trial. So, yeah, that's normally the reaction that I get from you guys. I was actually pissed off. Let me explain. I have a master's degree in creative writing. When I'm doing this, I need facts and data. Pirate stories come from pirate lore that was written 100 years after the golden age of piracy. That's a lot of books I have to read to be able to verify our 15 minutes of fame that I give us every single night. Not to mention the documentaries, the video games I play, and all of the extra things that my wife says, oh, this is about pirates. Is it another Anne Bonny story? And she throws it in my lap saying, great, now I have more shit to read. So everything we're going to be discussing at the next location came from a minimum of 2 resources. Just keep that in mind. So roll of the dice if she'll be there. It's a big 50-50 roll of the dice. I'll explain that once we get there, but you may get things bleed over from this location as well. So that does include anything from Dr. Ladd, Cow Alley, any of those kind of things that we've already discussed here. Before we leave the space, I'll explain the gate and why I stop here. First off, it gives me the halfway point of where the wall used to be in the alley where they blocked it off. Secondly, I told you that there was a wall there, so if there was a loser to a duel down here, this was the shortcuts to get to the cemetery on the other side of the wall. Otherwise, they're carrying a dead body all the way down to Queen Street and doubling back with it before they could go celebrate the winner with a pint. So Richard appreciates that history. He looked at me with a big shitty grin on his face. Good old tall pint sounds good right now. But again, I just like to point out the gate. The wrought iron was probably put here in the early 1900s, but you can see that the archway is definitely part of the original alleyway. So we are going to go out the way we came in. We'll stop our cameras. I normally say go ahead and keep them running, but we're going to be passing through a tour. And we're just going to go up and around the corner. We're going to talk about Anne Bonny, and then we'll be able to spread out like what we're doing. Our last two stops are not going to be in the same fashion of what we've been doing. I will explain those before we leave the next. Like, told you, there's a reason why you and I aren't partners anymore, man. So we're doing all the work, and you can laugh now. So, all right. So I still can't tell you yet. I'll tell you. Don't let me forget. It's the last
I keep
stop.
thinking about it.
It's the last stop. So sometimes people's names will show up in spirit boxes and stuff like that, and then we'll get like weird things like Colorado that we just heard. So that's why I asked you what state you were from. So I'll have to go back and look at the data, but your name showed up last night in what we call the Estes method, and it said it's all about grace. Yeah.
I thought I may have heard my name earlier, but did you say you heard Alabama?
Colorado.
Oh, I heard Alabama.
Is there somebody?
So about, I would say, we'll just say 10 or 12 times a year, I'll get somebody's name and then their nationality.
It's everybody.
On my next tour.
There is someone next. Yeah.
Yeah, there's someone standing right next to you.
Are you sure it's not the wall behind me? Because it is covered in leaves.
No, you're aiming at me, by the way.
Yeah, I'm aiming at my son.
Weird.
Move that. Move.
No,
Yeah, that's you guys.
Everybody's accounted for.
it's us?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh my god.
Brant is like, no, it's not. I tell him, right?
It's Daddy.
Daddy?
Daddy.
Should I be recording?
Probably. Yes.
Come on now.
That is so cool.
Train, or singer, train, daddy. We had some Colorado before, so singer with Colorado was singer.
I'm thinking singers on last. We are next to a cemetery. Things bleed over all the time. You have access to
here?
What's that?
Is there no building here?
Dude, I just saw a
Go over
light
there.
just
Yeah,
go
I'm gonna
across.
go over
There's like no reason
She's
for a
got it.
light to get through that.
Okay, we're going to talk more about the but anyway, back to the names and the nationalities or origin. Sometimes like it'll be like Grace, Florida, and I don't know that I have a Grace from Florida coming until I go over and I'm like, oh shit, there's a Grace, and I just heard that name last. So again, they came up during the Estes method, which we will be doing standard. So anyway, let's kind of go over why we're here because this story can be lengthy if like interrupted with all the cool stuff that's going on with your guys' gear. So let's get into that little tiny building in the front. That's why the other ghost tours come here. We're just going to look at it in a much different light. I talked very fast during this history, except for some of the twists, because we are going to be talking about a kick-ass female pirate, and it can get a little twisty. So I'll slow down on the twist and make sure you grab them. But I'll talk just like this through the rest of the story because there's a lot of data. That building is the gunpowder magazine. So it actually is a museum now. If you ever need to get out of our heat or cold, it's a good $5 to spend on a ticket.
Yeah, we did that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very cool in there. But those are not crosses on the outside of the building. Those are earthquake bolts. If you're not familiar with what that is, it's basically a turnbuckle. It goes all the way through the building. Looks just like that on the other side. If we have another earthquake, like what we did in 1886, which we have not, by the way, you can turn the turnbuckles and it'll tighten the building. So that way it doesn't incur further damage. It's a great idea. It just doesn't work. So the only reason I'm bringing it up is because you guys have seen them all over town, and including the apartment building behind it also has earthquake bolts on every single floor, but you guys have seen them in the shape of lion heads, pineapples, all kinds of Charleston charm bullshit. That's why they're there. It's Charleston charm bullshit. So those ones I'm pointing out on purpose because it's part of the reason why we're here. That's the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston ever put in. The reason why is because that is the oldest government building in Charleston, actually South Carolina, we're going to be honest about it. It was finished in 1713. That building was being constructed at the same time that Anne Bonny was coming here to start her new life. This is what I call a familiar. You guys all watch the TV shows, even if you fall asleep during them, right? You still seen those Boo Buddies. That's the teddy bear with the blinky light K2 in it. They use that to get a child to recognize it as a toy, so that way they come close. Same principle. We don't have any buildings this old that Anne would actually recognize from her era. That's why we're here. That's why this is a roll of the dice that she'll be here at the same time that we are, because we do have a handful. She might be here, she might be somewhere else. So let's kind of get into her history. The building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? A small building? 10 years? No, not our government. So, I know, wow, I got some good chuckles out of that one. But anyway, 1708 is right where our history with Anne begins. This is where the twists are. Young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormac. She comes here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Y'all with me so far? Okay, good. The three of them are running away from her father's angry wife. How pissed was that wife that she kicked them out of the country, by the way? There's no planes, only by boat. So they landed in Georgetown. That's between us and Myrtle Beach. So dad bought a plantation up there, and mom dies pretty quickly. That means dad now has to send young Anne down here to Charlestown to sell things from that plantation to help keep things afloat. So, back home in Ireland, we're going to take a step backwards for just a second. Anne was said to be a badass even when she was a young girl. At the age of 7, 8, 9 years old, remember it's pirate lore, nothing is exact, they say she killed a servant with a knife to the belly. Can't tell you how many times servant knife to belly has shown up on all three different spirit boxes. You guys don't know what's happening. So again, that's where I collect everything. You guys get it. Fast forward, the building's done in 1713, but by 1715, pirates are starting to come through Charlestown. Anne is stoked. The reason why? She's gonna fall in love with one of these guys so she can earn her freedom, just like a man. Yeah, right? So Grace is like, yeah, this isn't turning out the way I wanted it to. She just gave me that weird glare. Anyway, so first guy she falls in love with, and I said first because there is a handful. That's what makes the story, guys. We're gonna cover them all. The first guy is James Bonny. You already know where that one goes, right? Dad didn't approve. He's a filthy pirate. They ran away to Jamaica. They got married. Anne Cormac became Anne Bonny. Do you guys already know this story already?
No,
Okay.
he's a character from one of our shows.
Oh yeah, I already know what show you're talking about. I'm getting to him. So, with that said, when she gets down here to Jamaica and she looks at her husband, she realizes this is not the Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for. This guy turns out to be a privateer. He's a spy for the British. He's a coward. This isn't who she wants. She falls in love again. This guy is John Rackham, guy number 2. Everybody calls him Calico Jack. This is the guy they based your Johnny Depp character off of, in case you were wondering. So, Calico Jack has his own ship, he has his own crew, and wants to be part of the crew. You can't put a female on a pirate ship. Does anybody know why? Thank you for keeping it family friendly, dude. That was not the answer I was expecting out of you. So,
Well, we can all imagine.
yeah. Well, normally when I have kids in the tour, I don't throw that question out there because all the parents shuffle like, I'm not answering that. You know, it's kind of funny. But anyway, he makes a deal with Anne. If you dress like a guy and look like my crew, you can be part of the crew. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice back home in Ireland to hide her from his wife. I told you, this story is twisted. You're looking around like, oh shit. So you get the... Yeah, she's okay. She gets it. It's a man's world. But let's put 2 and 2 together. We're all adults. She's a female in Jack's quarters. She's eventually going to get pregnant. You can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl. And then they're going to get rid of Jack as captain because there's a democracy on every ship. We'll vote him off. So he drops her off in Cuba before she starts the show and says, has the baby here. These are friends of mine. They'll help you out. Come back later. We'll figure it out when you get back. She goes and has that baby, but returns without a baby. We have no idea what happened to the child. None of my research has ever discovered it. She also comes back dressed as a female. This is what makes Jack pretty pissed off. To make him even more pissed off, Anne's gonna go flirting with the pirate crew he just captured. They're down below deck. We're on guy number 3, in case you guys lost track. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the crew the Calico Jack just captured. Now we have 2 females, dressed like males on the same ship, trying to be pirates. Her name, Mary Reed. Now Mary and Anne became friends for sure, but maybe lovers. We're not gonna really know for sure. But the British find out where they are. They send a whole fleet of Navy ships to come take down one pirate ship. The rumor is that Anne and Mary were the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with 1-bullet flintlocks. They don't know how to use cannons yet. They haven't been pirates for very long. Not to mention, they've been hiding out. So, obviously 2 ladies with 1-bullet guns can't take on a whole fleet of ships. They get arrested. And as they're being arrested, Anne looks at her captain and beau, Calico Jack, and she says, I'm so sorry to see you here, but if you would have fought like a man, you wouldn't be hanged like a dog. The word dog shows up on your communication devices a lot, by the way. Now the judge wants to see the 2 men that fought back on their own. So he's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunk pirates that wouldn't fight. They are dead and gone. So the 2 ladies go in front of the judge, they reveal their gender, hoping to save themselves, and the judge could give a shit that they are female. They are still pirates. He's still gonna hang them. They scream out, we plead our bellies, meaning they are claiming to be pregnant. You cannot hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he delays the hanging, sends them both back to jail. Remember, Dad is still up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne and brings her home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4. We're gonna count Mary because we don't really know. She has 4 kids, dies at the age of 84. very abrupt ending because we really don't know jack about her after her pirate career. It's all for speculation, and I don't like to spread rumors. I'm giving you the things that were common among all of my research. Mary Read died 5 months later in a Jamaican jail from whatever pirates died from in a Jamaican jail. Use your imagination. Most references will tell you that it was something simple like fever. I say let's make it romantic, call it scurvy. I don't give a damn. Now, here's what I left out. This is not a controlled environment for me. Again, we're talking about a kick-ass pirate. She can take it. This is not a prominent English woman that we need to tiptoe around. You guys have already heard me say the phrase "know your ghost" several times. This is, again, one of those instances. Here's what I left out. I left out the name of Anne Bonny's parents. That's the father and the mistress. You can ask what those are. I also left out the city where she grew up in Ireland, the name of Calico Jack's ship, and the color of Anne's hair. You can ask whatever you want to here. I just like to give you guys a few leading questions of things we've gotten the answers to in the past. Your camera likes to act up in here, Brant, just so you know. So if you start to see like white staticky lines like an old tube TV, please let me know. Trying to think what else. EMF readings. The closer you get to those bushes, you're going to get readings from the parking meters on the other side. The corners have 2 giant electrical poles that do give off about a 3 to a 7. So I'm more excited about the EMF readings on the back half, so the two of you kind of get that idea. Spirit box work and the other pieces will all work in tandem. Hopefully you guys will start getting some answers. Keep track on your phone like you've been doing. I see a lot of people doing that. And you thought about like handing out like little notebooks like mine, but it's so much easier for you guys to use your own phones. But yeah, let's spread out. Let's have a good time, and then I'll explain the last 2 stops before we leave here. What's the show, by the way? I think maybe I
Outlander.
did reference it. They heard the year 1828 and the name Henry. I was using Anne's word list that night because that's what I used when there's only 2 people, and I had the name Tim on there. Behind me is a bust of Henry Timrod, born in 1828. Shit you not. So I was kind of like, well, hot damn, there's my list. So, quick story on him. He's a writer and was sick through most of his life. Being born in 1828, we figure out that he was old enough to go fight in the Civil Wars, 1860s. So he goes out to the battlefield to fight for the Confederate side. He's from Charleston. That's where he wants to fight for. He goes out there, but his comrades realize he's too sick to fight. They sent him home, knowing he was a writer, asking him to be the voice of the war. So he came home, started writing poetry about what was going on in the battlefield. He became known as the laureate of the Confederacy. Not familiar with the writing world? Like, that's a pretty prestigious title. A couple years go by, he's doing pretty well, at least getting a little bit more recognition. He has a son. His son's name is Willie. He's born on Christmas Eve, but dies 9 months later. So over 20. I know, I'm always telling you about dead kids, I'm sorry. Now, with that said, him and his wife Katie are mourning pretty heavy. And basically Henry's not writing as much as what he was before. He has another writer friend here in town, Paul Hamilton Haynes, and he says, I see you're not writing, go back to my cottage in Columbia. It's in the middle of the state, and get yourself back on track. Leave your wife behind to mourn with her parents that will be visiting. So he goes out to his cottage, and that's where he wrote his last words. His last words were, beholder of brief mortality, which means dear person with a short life. And then Henry coughed, and it landed on the page in a bloodstain. He had tuberculosis. He dies right there at the age of 38. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The bloodstain looks like a man writing at his desk. They show this one day a year at the Charleston Library Society. You have to be a member of the society to be able to go see it. And they call it the Blood Book. However, the internet's beautiful. I'm going to show you what the page looks like, and then we're going to go talk to Patty as if she were Henry Timrod. Hopefully the answers will come up somewhere. He has been pretty angry with me lately because it's the month of December. Obviously, his birthday, the irony here is that him and his son were both born in December, and him and his son both died in the month of October. The month of October, or Halloween month, when everybody goes ghost hunting with me, and it's usually sold out every single day, was super light during these sessions because it was like a whole month of mourning for him and his son. Now, December, he got a little angry with me the other night. He's like, I'm so angry when somebody else heard because you're staring at me. Like, it was kind of a, okay, all right, you're going to back off a little bit. By the way, that's you can't get any more than that. You're looking like a man right now. So, this is your blood book. Pretty cool stuff. Good creepy story for us to end with. We started off with football, we're ending with a bloody page. So, alright. We will stay in like pretty close knit to them too. Like a good tight half circle because if other tours are going to come through here and blindfolding people, I know that they know we have equipment, but I don't like people stealing my ideas. Nobody's doing this shit out of guys. So, I know, I'm like the weird, risque little guy with the backpack. Let's go talk to a ghost. Let's do it. off somebody's hair. So yeah, those are ear holes. And then you'll put the headphones over top of that. So when you're under, you will kind of tell us what you're hearing, everything that you're hearing, and hopefully it's going to look like a conversation. Even yes, no answers. I might ask you, what's going on in the best? I'm expecting you to say yes.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So even if you hear a weird sound, let us know what that sound is. And tell us, hey, this is a sound kind of mentality. Sometimes that's relevant in those times too. When we're done, so someone knows is going to stay close by. All right. So when we're done, they're going to kick her on the leg, go hard. They'll tap you on the leg. That means you take off your own gear. If it's too easy to help because if you have muscles, they're going to tap you on the shoulder. Yeah. The shoulder means just quiet down a little bit. If we can't hear you, he may lift up your earmuff and you say, please keep up. Keep it nice and simple. On your end, you are just going to see images that are going to randomly show up. Have you guys ever seen AI generate images before? It's a very interesting process. So I don't know what these images that you're going to see are. You might not get any. You might have 12. So you'll hear all of the questions, but you're just going to simply tell us in a very basic description of what you see. Two ladies on a bench wearing red coats with a tree. Like, that's as simple as it gets. If she's not giving us much, I may ask you COVID questions, but I'll always say your main first three questions so you know it's so obviously you'll know when we're done because you'll hear me. The cool thing is you still don't know basic. And this way you don't know what to expect out of this, and you may not know why I'm asking you the question. So we will only keep you on for 10 minutes. So I would say at this point, blindfold on, get those headphones turned on, and as soon as you start hearing things, then I will start our 10-minute session. Kara, you have a focus in here. So I'm going to put my phone in here once I set it up, and if it's blurry, you're going to turn that down. This is my phone, so my not yet. I got to put my phone in. If my wife is sending me dirty pictures, you have to tell me what they are. Okay? I said that one night, and one guy says, "Make sure you take the phone out and show us everything." I'm like, I could have a pretty ugly life. You don't know. We got a picture coming through our way, so I'm just waiting for it to finish. I don't know what it is. See if it's weird. No way! That's funny.
It's Inspector first.
Inspector naked?
No, Inspector. And then naked.
I'm probably just gonna have somebody turn that up for me because I can't hear it.
Oh,
Can't feel anything.
Okay, so you need to turn it up.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to see 2D images, 3D in your face. No, it's not a joke.
I mean, I'd be okay with that.
Most people would. You see how I said it close? And it's just going with the photograph close.
Move it up here.
Patty, can you hear me?
Yes.
Turn it up. Can you hear me now? The colors of blue banana? Perfect. You can't hear me. It is 11:28. So, here we go. Everybody, let's kind of huddle around a little bit tighter. So, Richard, I'm going to bring you in. All right. Henry Timrod, if you are here, you are the only one I'm looking to speak with tonight. Everybody else needs to take a step backwards, please, and let Henry come forth. Henry, can you tell us something about your occupation, please? We're going to start this off the way we always do, nice and easy, just for verification that you're here. Tell us something about your occupation. What did you do for a living? Gold. Henry, can you tell us something about your occupation? What did you do for a living? Henry, this is Patty. She can hear you. This is Kara. She can see wherever you want us to see. Using all of the boxes that we normally use, feel free to speak through any of them. Looks like she was about to say something and then gave up. It's like the third time she's done it. Heroes Memorial is over there. Henry, back to you, sir. Last night you started telling us about the war you served in. You want to go back to telling us about the war? That's a yes/no question. I'm gonna lift up her earmuff and remind her to tell us what she's hearing. It happens all the time.
Are you hearing anything?
No? Okay. Jacob? Henry, can you tell us what sound we're hearing right now out of the church?
It's like a bunch of pieces to songs.
Okay. We've had the word bells spelled out twice when I've asked that question, so I usually go with that. Henry, what sound did we just hear out of the church? You could tell us the name of the church too. I'm okay.
A lot of static, but nothing.
Henry. Anything about the church? It would be the sound we just heard, the name of the church. Kara, anything besides smoke? Okay.
It's darker smoke.
You know, I guess last night said that, but I usually test it today and I didn't get a
Yeah,
chance.
sometimes it's darker smoke. A lot of static and then stop.
Henry. Patty's having a hard time hearing whatever it is you want to tell us. You're going to have to be very clear. I asked you about your job.
I just got bells
Like
Oven.
the phrase, bells ringing?
No.
Actual
Just
bells.
like actual bells.
That's even better. Like, I'm asking the question who gave us the answer. Henry, thank you for using a different box.
Oh, and someone's coming.
Well, we have an image.
It's a woman in a blue dress. She's running toward. Blue dress, red shoes.
Can we guess a time period?
Modern.
Anything in the background? Like, where's she running?
Says looks like it's an office building. It's like two windows, a brown, yellow, and
Sounds dangerous for anyone just to be running around the house. Henry?
It's like a lot of static and pieces of songs.
Henry, we've asked you about your job.
The serve mercy.
You got anything going on with yours? Henry, we're having a little bit of struggles tonight. So we're really going to have to be clear. We're going to keep it nice and basic. Things that just happen in real time with the church or your occupation. Which means I'm not going to be prying into your family life or anything about the war. I'm just looking for some verification that you're here. Some happy ghost of something for you. Any readings coming out of yours lately?
Flip of a two, that was it.
Fools.
It's called us fools. Did you hear that? Told you, this guy's not happy with me. Henry, yes or no question. Are you still upset about the other night? She looks like she's breathing a little heavier. Just giving you. This is why I don't write anything down. Henry, we'll take another image if you want to communicate with us that way.
A lot of static and then nothing. go.
Henry, we're down to 3 minutes left. So feel free to use any of the other boxes. Or if you want to speak through Patty, you gotta make it nice and clear so she can hear it. Carrie, you've only had one image, right?
Yeah,
Plus,
there's a lot of dark though. It's very dark. Every time you ask a question, it's dark.
here.
It's weird looking, yeah.
Henry, I have to be clear. We're getting down to the end of this. I know you're upset with me the other night, but we kind of made amends last night. I just got HT.
December.
HT and December at the same time. Yeah. Henry, do you want us to go home?
Oh, that's so black.
Henry, do you want us to go home?
Oh wait, picture. One. It's a very long. Actually, it looks old-fashioned. It looks old-fashioned. It's pointed to the right. I don't know what kind of gun it is, but it's really. It's like Civil War. Brush. It's a Civil War gun. Keeps fading in and out.
Check button because it's not going to give me a time frame. It's 11:44. I think we started like right on the dot because you guys showed up like a minute or two before 9 o'clock. So you're definitely going to have close to that 9 to 10 hours worth of media coming back to you. So again, that's a lot to go through. So you got a lot of homework to do. Questions, comments, concerns. What do you guys have? Throw them at me.
I scanned this and it came up and it said save contact, so it looked like it had all your info
Yeah.
on it, so that's good.
Yeah.
Follow up.
All right. Nice work. I like your debunking process. Like, I got something over here, but not over there. This was in the deep well. This was not. Let's. Yeah, that's the last question.
I just feel bad that I couldn't get
Could be something else. Very happy.
It could be. 89 terms came up out of this, so that's about an average. Normally about 75 to 100 for the time frame that we're supposed to go.
Gamer, sir.
Hmm.